Indian families lavishly spend on wedding. It is March, the summer has begun and so have the marriages. According to the data, every year 1 crore marriages takes place in India. And only in November and December, 35 lakh marriages took place in 2023, which generated a whooping amount of 4 lakh crore rupees. How did India after independence change from being a poor country to a country which spends $130 billion every year, making it the fourth largest industry in the country above steel, car and tech industries? In this video, we will analyze number 1, why Indians adore fat weddings. Number 2, the commercial potential in the wedding sector. Number 3, what drives wealthy weddings. Lastly, the benefits and downsides of the rich wedding. Let's go back in time to 1969. Most of the marriages took place in temple and there would be a small reception where only 25 people were invited. As per the government regulation, not more than 25 people must be fed food in a function. This regulation was drafted to ensure there was less food wastage because India was under poor condition and there were wars going on, and also we were a food deficit country. For example, in Calcutta during the 1965 and 1971 wars, a line would be finally printed on the wedding cards which said government guest control order would be strictly followed due to food scarcity across the country. And after the iconic Green Revolution took place, we solved the issue of food scarcity and our country became the food surplus country by 21st century. And why did weddings get expensive in 21st century? It is because of three reasons. Number 1, economic growth in India in 1970s. Back then, Indian economy was centralized and tightly regulated. For example, Infosys founder Narayan Murthy once said that he had to visit government office 50 times in a span of 3 years to import one computer. This means building a business back then was not easy. But all of this changed in 1991 when the Indian economy was liberalized by the Congress government. This is when people began to make more money in order to spend more money on marriages. Number 2, Bollywood. In 1990s, movies like DDLJ, Hum Aapke Hai Kaun depicted the marriage in a different way. This demonstrates how much of influence movies have on the society. Not just movies, but also the marriages of the movie stars influence the society. For example, Priyanka Chopra and Nick Jonas, Virat Kohli and Anushka's wedding. Let's talk real. We all know how much we enjoy wedding clips on Insta Reels. Number 3, social media. Nowadays, all the couples want their wedding to be Instagrammable. This means they click pictures and make videos in a way that they can post on Instagram later. This is the reason why pre-wedding shoots and post-wedding shoots are kind of booming right now. Look at these examples. Now let's look into some interesting facts which gives us a prerequisite view of why wedding business industries is going to skyrocket in India. Indians are willing to spend nearly 20% of their lifetime income on weddings. According to Kunal Shah, people spend their 6 times of salary on wedding. 80 to 83% of suitcases are bought by brides in India. Mostly each bride takes 3 to 4 suitcases when she moves in with her husband. According to the Goldman Sachs report, the affluent class of India, it's the people who are earning 8 lakhs every year, are growing by 12 to 13% every year. Now, after hearing this, cherry on the cake, 65% of the Indian population is below the age 35. This means more wedding, more money and more business. Now let's talk about the business opportunities in the wedding industry. Indian wedding industries are growing by 7 to 8% annually. Did you know that you can monetize your wedding wherein foreigners will pay you $200 to $300 just to attend your wedding? Number 2, clothing industry. Indian ethnic wear is a 70,000 crore market in which 85% accounts to women's ethnic wear and which is growing 15% every year. But 85% of this market is still unorganized. Number 3, jewelry. Every year 60,000 crore worth jewelries are bought in the name of wedding. Number 4, hospitality. Because of marriages, 5,000 crore worth hotel rooms get booked every year. Number 5, wedding planning. Nowadays, wedding is not a one-day thing. It is a series of events which must be planned well. For example, proposals, pre-wedding parties, bridal showers, bachelorette, sangeet, mehendis, cocktail parties, reception, wedding, honeymoon. There is an ample of opportunities in organizing all these events. Fun fact, 56% of the wedding planners say that decisions are usually made by the brides. So if you're planning a wedding, you know who to go to. Number 6, food and catering business. This is a $70 billion industry in itself. Wedding industries contribute 30% to it. In urban areas, 30% of the wedding is funded by the parents and the rest 70% is funded by the bride and groom. Now let's look into some negative effects of rich weddings. Number one, wedding is really a big expense because most of it is covered by a financial debt. Debts are usually taken for dowry payments, organizing cocktail parties, destination weddings, etc. According to the studies, nearly 60% of rural families are unable to pay back the debt amount. Now this study quite confused me. What should a marriage be called as? An auspicious event or a financial death sentence? Number two, the split of marriage cost is uneven. 32% of the people indicate that the financial burden falls on the bride's family, whereas 9% of them say that the financial burden falls on the bridegroom's family. Number 3, there are so many EMI options. Let me shock you. There is a scheme called as Marry Now, Pay Later, which gives you up to 50 lakh rupees of loan for your marriage. And people tend to fall in this trap because of social pressure and hunger for the status in society. How can we reduce the bad effects of wedding? It's simple. Your wedding expense should not exceed more than 10% of your net worth. Let me give you a shocking fact before we end this. Ambani spent 1200 crores on his son's pre-wedding party, which is only 0.1% of his $120 billion net worth, which means he is still left with $10 billion which he can spend on his son's wedding. If you guys require the same information in Tamil or Kannada, do check out these two channels. Thank you for watching this. Samuel Phillips signing off.